Well, hello, folks. Wanted to record a quick message. I've been trying to figure out how to verbalize this, and then every time I'm sitting at the laptop and trying to type, there's other stuff happening. There's breaking news and whatnot. So I figured it'd just be easiest just to record this real as quick as I possibly can. People have been asking. I was out in the community yesterday. There's people have been asking my thoughts on the governor's race, for whatever it's worth, in your consideration of this. My opinions had been out there in public, and now those have changed in the last week with the events. So for whatever it's worth, here's where I'm coming from. I think and have thought from the very beginning that whoever the Democratic candidate is can absolutely win against Tom Tiffany. That is the table ante for anybody who is running for this office, I think, is to be able to say, yes, there's a competition of ideas, and maybe one candidate may think that they are better, but to be able to say that one candidate absolutely cannot win, I think is defeatist. And especially now that this is happening in a way that it is trying to stomp on one particular candidate and doing it with a lot of outside money, a lot of that money coming from data center folks and coming from people who are outside of the party of the future. That is a problem, because at this very moment, right now, that we are in our country's history, is very different from any others. This is not just a normal campaign where it's just pick the Democrat, pick the generic Republican, and then let's have them debate and decide. We are for people who can look up and see what is happening nationally. This is fascism. We are heading into the most unknown election that we've ever had in our lifetimes, where Donald Trump is the president, and Donald Trump has broadcast what he plans to do to cast doubt on the results of that election, where he has in the past encouraged his supporters, when he didn't like the election result, to get violent and to try to overthrow the democracy that we have, including directing his supporters to attack the Capitol, bashing in the heads of police officers caught on camera in an attempt to kill members of Congress and overthrow our country. And to see that, and years later, once he took office, to pardon every single one of those violent terrorists and to justify their abhorrent behavior and pretend that this is normal politics, not even bringing into it, frankly, the other things that have been happening. The fact that he tried to set up an over $1 billion fund to pay his terrorists on demand, so that they are willing to do that kind of crap again in our country. That is what we are up against. That we have a president who is shoveling money into his and his family's pockets, selling out our country's secrets and the things that we care most about. And just at his own, whatever is good for him. Our country, our future, is being ripped apart for the sake of him being able to gain financially. The civil service is being destroyed. Protections for the most vulnerable are being ripped apart. The existence of what our government is supposed to do in helping those who need it the most, in solving the biggest problems that people have that we cannot solve on their own, of breaking that specifically for the rich and for his own benefit. This is the moment that we are in right now. Every candidate should see that. And if you are out there saying that a candidate cannot win against that lacks imagination to a degree that it should be disqualifying moving forward. And to be able to say that about one candidate, Francesca Hong, a friend of mine, somebody who I've been supporting. I also have been supporting Mandela Barnes and Kelda Roys. I think they're both fantastic and would make great governors. Any of the three of them, any of them would make a better governor than Tom Tiffany and what they're trying to do. But to go after her, specifically for a label, pretending that we won't be able to define that in a state where democratic socialism had deep roots. And for this person who represents the city on the Milwaukee County level, where we have had 3 democratic socialist mayors who pushed for clean government, pushed out corruption in their time, and were able to usher in an era of government service to be able to have functional sewers at a time where that was unique, to be able to make sure that people could guarantee that their government was working for them in a good way, and to be able to usher that in Milwaukee. And frankly, in the state of the progressive movement of fighting Bob La Follette, who fought against big money coming into our state and founded the progressive movement and all that it entailed. What's up? Hold on a sec. To be able to look at that and say, oh no, we wouldn't be able to understand that here in this state. I think that should be, frankly, again, a sign of where you should vote. But the biggest piece of this, beyond all of that, to be able to try and shut down a movement as it's growing in our state, of young people, of people who feel like they've been shut out of politics, people who are very frustrated and see this and are saying that this candidate, one candidate, Francesca Hong, and what she represents and the issues that she is bringing forward and the bills that she has authored, the Economic Justice Bill of Rights, healthy school meals for all, of making sure that we have quality funding for our public education, that these are the things that we can't justify somehow all of a sudden. That I think is a huge, huge problem, because it dismisses that entire movement at a time where that has happened before in 2016. We've seen that happen in other points in electoral history. That is a huge problem of how people get dismissed out of politics and feel that it's not for them, that it's an insider's game. I refuse to be a part of moving forward with that and having people to be able to say that and have those folks shut up, because they deserve to absolutely be heard. And as there is big money coming in, if there are attempts to be able to say, well, we cannot define what democratic socialism is, and to be able to define what how that fits into a healthy and robust democracy, and what a coalition looks like to be able to overcome the level of corruption that we are seeing within the Republican Party and the fascism and the violence, that is necessary right now to grow the largest coalition possible. And anybody who is trying to stand in the way of that right now is not meeting this moment right now, and they should not be involved in politics moving forward. Because I think that is disqualifying to not understand the moment that we are in with all of those things going on, and to be able to dismiss that movement. So that is where I'm coming from today. That is what I was saying yesterday. We'll see how things evolve, but I feel very strongly that we can absolutely get anybody who comes through the Democratic primary over the finish line, given where we're at, and candidates who are refuting that and frankly trying to knock down and divide the party. And let's be clear, trying to spread fear isn't that hard. Nobody worries like a Democratic voter worries. So having that spread in the electorate for 3 weeks and then thereafter is poisonous, and I think that we should all be pushing back against that, because it is unhelpful, to say the least. So that's what I think, for whatever it's worth. Luckily, we still live in a free enough society that you can share what you believe. Hopefully the algorithm will carry it. So please let me know what you guys are thinking. Algorithm will carry your ideas too. So let me know what you guys are thinking within this race and all the dynamics, because I'm very interested in where you guys are coming from on this. So sorry the video's long. There's a lot going on, hence my son is around here, the dog is out, and everybody's running around, so I've got to go back in. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for engaging, and absolutely make sure, no matter what, you go and vote in the August 11th primary for your candidate, whoever it is. And frankly, make sure that if you're going to be out of town, that you vote early to make sure that is registered. All right, get involved. Thank you.